Months in Mesmoralia. Part 1, The Backwards Bread. 3 weeks after Berkeley Lent got his soul back, his bread started remembering things. Not in any way that made sense. Bread doesn't have memory, shouldn't have memory. But customers would bite into his sourdough and suddenly recall conversations they'd never had. A woman tasted his rye and remembered dying, though she was clearly still alive. A child ate a dinner roll and spent an hour describing a house that hadn't been built yet. It's the guilt, Berkeley told me when I visited his shop. His eyes were still full, painfully full, and he needed dough with the fervor of prayer. I put so much remorse into the baking that it's seeping through. The bread absorbs it. And memory, I've learned, is just guilt with a different name. I picked up a croissant. It was still warm. Don't, Berkeley warned. I bit into it anyway and fell upward. Part 2, the Ceiling District. Mesmoralia has districts that don't appear on any map because they exist perpendicular to geography. The Ceiling District is one of them. You can only reach it by falling up, and only certain foods baked with existential crisis will get you there. I landed softly on what should have been sky, but felt like marble. Above me or below me, directions had lost their agreement. The streets of regular Mesmoralia continued. People walking along cobblestones that were now my ceiling. First time, asked a voice that tasted purple. I turned. The speaker was a man who existed in several moments, simultaneously. I could see him as a child, as elderly, as middle-aged, all occupying the same space, flickering between ages like a candle flame. I'm Oleander Twist, he said, settling on an age somewhere around 30. I've been up here for, well, time doesn't spend the same up here. It invests. It compounds. Sometimes it declares bankruptcy and starts over. How do I get down? Wrong question. Oleander walked or danced. His movement was ambiguous across the inverted plaza. Better question. Why would you? Down there, you're looking for what you lost. Up here, you might find what you never had. The Ceiling District was populated by those who'd taken the wrong bite of the wrong food and ended up inverted. They'd built a mirror city, shops and homes that hung from the underside of reality. But everything here was slightly wrong. The coffee shops served liquid nostalgia. The bookstores sold pages from unwritten autobiographies, and the clocks ran on intention rather than seconds. Magdalene comes up here sometimes, Oleander mentioned. She's collecting something. Not souls, she's got enough of those. Something else. Something that only exists in the margins between up and down. Part 3, the Soul Collector's Secret. I found Magdalene in an inverted cafe, sitting at a table that grew from the ceiling like a stalactite. She was drinking something that looked like starlight mixed with regret. Took you long enough, she said. Berkeley's bread has been a gateway for months. I wondered when you'd be curious enough to try it. What are you doing up here? She gestured to the seat across from her. I sat, or stood, position felt like all three. "I'm going to tell you something true," Magdalene said, and her voice carried the weight of confession. "I don't collect souls because I'm a broker. I collect them because I'm trying to build something." She reached into her coat. It had pockets that went deeper than geometry allowed, and pulled out a jar. Inside, dozens of souls swirled, their light mixing and separating like oil and water. "Souls are just light that learn to want things," she explained. "And if you collect enough of them, if you weave them together in the right pattern, you can make something new. Not a person, not exactly, something else." "What?" "An exit." The word hung in the air, too heavy for the inverted gravity. "Mesmoralia is a city that catches things," Magdalene continued. "It caught me 400 years ago. It caught you 3 years ago. It catches souls, memories, people who have made mistakes too deep for the regular world to hold. But here's what I've learned. Cities are just patterns, and patterns can be reversed." She unscrewed the jar. The souls spiraled out, forming shapes, letters, numbers, architectural blueprints written in pure longing. "I'm building a door," she said, "made entirely of wanting to leave. The combined desperation of 1,000 souls, all pulling in the same direction. And up here, in the ceiling district, where direction is negotiable, it might actually work." Part 4, the door that eats. The door took 3 days to build, or 3 years' time in the ceiling district was more of a suggestion than a rule. Magdalene wove souls together like thread, each one adding its particular shade of desire to leave Mesmoralia. Berkeley came up. He'd started eating his own bread, unable to resist, and contributed his soul's desperate wish to escape the guilt, though he knew he couldn't. Oleander added his younger selves, longing for a life not yet lived. I watched, unable to contribute. I still didn't know what I wanted. The door grew in the center of the inverted plaza, a structure that looked like it was built from stained glass and synchronized breathing. It had no frame, no hinges. It was simply an opening that insisted on being there, held together by collective yearning. "Who goes through first?" Berkeley asked. "No one," Magdalene said. "That's not what it does." She approached the door and knocked. The door knocked back, and then it opened, but not outward or inward. It opened through, and what came out was Mesmoralia itself, but backwards. The sky poured out first, but it was dawn instead of twilight, bright instead of dim. Then came streets where the posters advertised found souls instead of lost ones. Buildings emerged that were full instead of empty, warm instead of staged. "I didn't build an exit," Magdalene said, wonder in her ancient voice. "I built an inversion, a city opposite to Mesmoralia, a place where what's lost gets found, where guilt becomes redemption, where the door kept opening, and the backward city kept pouring out, overlaying the ceiling district, bleeding down to regular Mesmoralia below. I could see both cities now, occupying the same space, but running in opposite directions through time and meaning. Part 5, The Choice of Moths. You have to choose, Oleander said to me. His different ages had synchronized now, settling on a single, unified self. That's what the door really built, a moment of choice. I stood floated at the threshold between the two Mesmoralias. In one direction, the city I knew, twilight eternal, souls separated from bodies, slow, forgetting, beautiful purgatory. In the other, its opposite, dawn perpetual, souls seeking bodies to inhabit, sudden remembering, terrible paradise. What happens if I choose the new one? I asked. You become what you're missing, Magdalene said. That city is built from wanting. It'll shape you into whatever you were trying to find. But you won't be you anymore. You'll be the answer to your question. And if I stay, you keep searching. Forever, probably. But you stay yourself. Berkeley touched my shoulder. His hand was warm, solid, full of guilt and humanity and purpose. I can feel both cities, he said quietly. In the new one, I never killed anyone. I'm innocent. But I'm also not me. I didn't learn, didn't grow, didn't knead my remorse into something that could feed people. I looked at my reflection in the door's surface. In one reflection, I was Adeliza Moth, perpetual searcher, beautiful mystery. In the other, I was complete. I could see what I'd lost, see it filling me, making me whole. But that other me had Magdalene's eyes. Empty eyes. The eyes of someone who'd found their answer and had nothing left to seek. I'm staying, I said. The door shuddered. The backward city began to collapse, souls unweaving, pulling back into their jar. Wait, Oleander grabbed the door's edge. If we don't use it, it'll stay, Magdalene interrupted. That's what she just chose. The door will stay open. The backward city will keep bleeding through. Both Mesmoralias will exist at once. She didn't choose one or the other. She looked at me with something like respect. She chose both, the searching and the finding, the question and the answer, the twilight and the dawn. Part 6, the double city, now Mesmoralia, exists twice in the same place. You can walk down streets that are simultaneously ending and beginning. The posters read, Lost Soul, and Found Soul, depending on which eye you read them with. Berkeley's bread makes you remember and forget at the same time. I work as a guide now, helping newcomers navigate the double city, teaching them to see both versions, to live in the superposition of lost and found. Magdalene still collects souls, but now she releases them too into the backward city, where they find bodies that need them, bodies from the forward city that lost them. The cycle completes and starts over endlessly. Berkeley bakes bread that tastes like redemption and guilt in the same bite. Oleander exists at all his ages simultaneously and calls it freedom. And me, I'm still Adeliza Moth. I still don't remember why I came to Mesmoralia. But now I know that's not emptiness, that's possibility. I'm the question that that chooses not to be answered. The moth that flies between the light and the dark, never landing, always moving. What happens in Mesmoralia stays in Mesmoralia. What remains in Mesmoralia becomes Mesmoralia. And what chooses both cities at once, that becomes something new entirely. A third option, a sideways answer. A door that's always opening and never opened. A story that's always ending and never quite done. I spread my moth wings. When did I grow wings? And fly upward downward through the double city, through the space between lost and found. And I finally understand. I didn't come to Mesmoralia to find what I lost. I came here to lose what I'd found, so I could search for it forever. And in a city that exists in eternal twilight dawn,